Hello, my amazing artists. Today we're going to be reading one of my favorite books. I know I always say that, but this is really one of my favorite books. It's called Purple, Green, and Yellow by Robert Munsch. And we're going to read it together, and this is about what not to do with markers while you're at home, spending so much time. And then when we're done reading, you'll be able to click on a link, and we're going to draw a portrait or a picture of a person, and then we are going to cover it with color. But how we're going to cover it with color is something different. We're going to do a marker print using foil. So let's get started reading the book, and then you can make the art with me. Purple, Green, and Yellow by Robert Munsch. Brigid went to her mother and said, "I need some coloring markers. All my friends have coloring markers. They draw wonderful pictures. Mummy, I need some coloring markers." "Oh no," said her mother. "I've heard about those coloring markers. Kids draw on walls, they draw on the floor, they draw on themselves. You can't have any coloring markers." "Well," said Brigitte, "there are these new coloring markers. They wash off with just water. I can't get into any trouble with coloring markers that wash off. Get me some of those." "Well," said her mother, "all right." So her mother went out and got Brigitte 500 washable coloring markers. Brigitte went up to her room and drew wonderful pictures. She drew lemons that were yellower than lemons, and roses that were redder than roses, and oranges that were oranger than oranges. Look at all these markers in all her pictures. Her mother was amazed. She said, "Wow, my kid is an artist." But after a week, Brigitte got bored. She went to her mother and said, "Mom, did I draw on the wall?" "No," said her mother. "Did I draw on the floor?" "No," said her mother. "Did I draw on myself?" "No," said her mother. "Well," said Brigitte, "I didn't get into any trouble, and I need new coloring markers. All my friends have them. Mommy, there are coloring markers that smell. They have ones that smell like roses and lemons and oranges, and even ones that smell like cow plops." That's poop. "Mom, they have coloring markers that smell like anything you want. Mom, I need those coloring markers." Well, so her mother went out and got 500 coloring markers that smelled. Then Brigitte went upstairs and she drew pictures. She drew lemons that smelled like lemons, and roses that smelled like roses, and oranges that smelled like oranges, and cow plops that smelled like cow plops. Ooh. Her mother said, "Wow, my kid is an artist." But after a week, Brigitte got bored and she said, "Mom, did I draw on the floor?" "No," said her mother. "Did I draw on the walls?" "No," said her mother. "Did I draw on myself?" "No," said her mother. "Well," said Brigitte, "I need some new coloring markers. These are the best kind of all, and all my friends have them, and they are super indelible, never cut them off till you're dead, almost, and maybe even later coloring markers." "Mom, I need them." So her mother went out and got 500 super indelible, never come off till you're dead, and maybe even later coloring markers. Brigitte took them and drew pictures for 3 weeks. She drew lemons that looked better than lemons, and roses that looked better than roses, and oranges that looked better than oranges, and sunsets that looked better than sunsets. Wow, look at all these markers. But then Brigitte got bored. She said, "I'm tired of drawing on paper, but I am not going to draw on the walls, and I'm not going to draw on the floor, and I'm not going to draw on myself. But everybody knows that it's okay if you color your fingernails. Even my mother colors her fingernails." So Brigitte took a purple, super indelible, never come off till you're dead, and maybe even later, coloring marker. and she colored her thumbnail bright purple. And that was so pretty, she colored all her fingernails purple, black, and yellow. And that was so pretty, she colored her hands yellow, green, and red. Oh no, Brigitte. And that was so pretty, she colored her face purple, green, yellow, and blue. And that was so pretty, she colored her belly button blue. And that was so pretty, she colored herself all sorts of colors, almost entirely all over. Then Brigitte looked in the mirror and said, "What have I done? My mother's going to kill me," she said, and she ran into the bathroom and washed her hands for half an hour. But nothing came off. Her hands still looked like mixed up rainbows. Gulp. Then she had a wonderful idea. She reached way down at the bottom of the coloring markers and got a special colored marker. It was the same color that she was, well, before she colored herself. She took that marker and colored herself all over until she was her regular color again. In fact, she looked even better than before. Almost too good to be true. She went downstairs and her mother said, "Why, Brigitte, you're looking really good today." "Right?" said Brigitte. Then her mother said, "It's time to wash your hands for dinner." But Brigitte was afraid that all the special color would not stick to the colors underneath, so she said, "I already washed my hands." But her mother smelled her hands and said, "Oh, no soap." She took Brigitte into the bathroom and washed her hands and face. All the special color came off, and Brigitte looked like mixed up rainbows. "Oh no," said her mother. "Brigitte, did you color your hands with the coloring markers that wash off?" "No." "Brigitte, did you color your hands with the coloring markers that smell?" "No." "Did you use these super indelible never come off till you're dead and maybe even later coloring markers?" "Yes." "Ah!" yelled her mother. She called the doctor and said, "Help! Help! Help! My daughter has colored herself with super indelible never come off till you're dead and maybe even later coloring markers." "Oh dear," said the doctor. "Sometimes they never come off." The doctor came over and gave Brigitte a large orange pill, and she said, "Take this pill and wait 5 minutes, then take a bath." So Brigitte took the pill, waited 5 whole minutes, and jumped into the bathtub. Her mother stood outside the door and yelled, "Is it working? Is it working?" "Yes," said Brigitte, "everything is coming off." And Brigitte was right. Everything had come off. And when Brigitte walked out of the bathroom, she was invisible. "Oh no," yelled her mother. "You can't go to school if you're invisible. You can't go to university if you're invisible. You'll never get a job if you're invisible. Brigitte, you've wrecked your life." That means she ruined her life. "Don't worry," said Brigitte, and she ran into the room and got the special colored marker and the color yourself all over until entirely you couldn't tell the difference. In fact, she looked even better than before, almost too good. But her mother said, "Brigitte, you can't go through life like that. You're just a picture. Everyone will know that something is wrong." "No, they won't," said Brigitte. "Yes, they will," said her mother. "No, they won't," said Brigitte. "I colored Daddy while he was taking a nap, and you haven't noticed anything yet." "Good heavens!" yelled her mother, and she ran into the living room and looked at Daddy. But he looked even better than before. Almost too good. "Doesn't he look great?" asked Brigitte. "I couldn't even tell the difference," said her mother. "Right?" said Brigitte, "and neither will he. As long as he doesn't get wet." Oh no, look at the daddy. He is covered with marker. Now you can switch to the other video and I will show you guys how to make your own self-portrait of you colored with marker.